Hey, what's going on? Welcome everybody to the Total Wellness Show with Terrence on 108 Praise Radio. We are back this Monday evening. Ooh, boy, let me tell you something. Mondays. I love Mondays. But the last two Mondays, we took a little hiatus. We took a break, a sabbatical, just to regroup, reorganize, and take a break, and just come back refresh. So here we are again. Happy, healthy Monday. I hope everyone is doing well. Everybody had a great 4th of July. Everyone is truly taking care of themselves and watching over their loved ones and making sure that everything is okay spiritually, mentally, physically, all those great things. A lot of times, life get a little hard sometimes for a lot of people. People are going through a lot right now. And what I saw over the last 4 or 5 days is a lot of people out there struggling with their health. They're struggling with a lot of things in life in general. So, just make sure you reach out to somebody, tell them that, hey, I love you. I haven't seen you in a minute. I'm just checking on you. Show some love, some person. Turn to your neighbor right now and say, I hope you're all right. Give them a compliment. Do whatever you got to do, because people need that. Yes. They need that, man, and I know if somebody check on me and say, hey, T, I'm just checking on you, but that's going to make me feel good. So, I appreciate that. So, before we get into my guest right now, I'm just going to, say thank you very much to the sponsors. Sharon Mason, thank you so much for what you've done. Thank you for the sponsorship. I really appreciate that. Dr. Troy Gathers, thank you once again. 1670 Clothing Line. Y'all check them out. 1670.com. And, it just, I'm just happy. I'm feeling good right now, And let me say, get well soon, Benji Anderson. They had to take him to the hospital on Saturday. I think it was Friday or Saturday. Lord, forgive me. You know what I'm saying? And so, he had a lot of massive pain on his chest, and we had to call him. So, he's down there in Grady right now. Anybody want to go down there and show him love, just go to the emergency room and ask for Benji Anderson. He a cool guy. That's a real good friend of mine, OG, stuff like that. So, and I say that because, you never know when the ambulance is going to come for you.
That's right.
And when I got to Grady in the emergency room, it's a lot of people laying around, man, plugged in. Yes. A lot of health issues. So, what I want to say to everybody right now is like, take care of yourself as much as possible. Absolutely. Take care of your loved ones. Make sure that everything is okay. Yes. Say hey. Say I love you. Say I miss you. Say I'm thinking about you, because you never know.
You never know.
So anyway. Scratch that off right there. So I'm going to introduce my guest, brand new friend of mine, Miss Lisa Graham. Miss Lisa Graham is a nurse graduate from Southern California.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right. She relocated here in Atlanta 20 years ago.
Yes.
And she was doing at Northside Hospital, exactly. Diabetes education, diabetes awareness for about 20-something years. How long have you been there?
So probably about, maybe about 15 years.
15 years.
15 of the years that I worked for Northside, I was in the diabetes department.
In the diabetes.
Yes.
So you know why I have her here, because it's a big passion of mine with the diabetes thing, what I went through and what I still go through sometimes. On a bad day, So when we first met, it was last week at the Healthy Coalition meeting at DeKalb County.
Yes.
And I think I registered on Eventbrite. And then I saw the meeting. I said, let me go step in here and network right quick, do my thing. And I stood up and introduced myself and said who I am and what I do. And immediately, Nurse Graham here, we hit it off.
Yes.
And then she invited me to the Gwinnett Business Alliance. Great event, a lot of networking capabilities. Met a lot of people. It was really cool.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah. If it's right up my alley like that, then it makes sense for me to come out. A lot of times it does not make sense for me, and there's a lot of events that I would love to catch.
Yes.
And see old faces and everything like that, But sometimes, I just can't get to them. It's not being mean or ducking anybody. I got love for everybody, but sometimes the schedule conflicts, I'm not able to get certain places. So now you left Northside Hospital and you started up your own business called
Renew and Live.
Renew and Live. So
Yes.
why did you call it that? Why was the name? What was the name?
Well, again, I've been a nurse over 20 plus years in the diabetes arena, as I said, for the past 15. And those, of course, last 15 years spending that time in diabetes. The thought of course, Renew and Live, it's renewing, of course, your spirit and living out your best life.
Right.
And that's where that the name of the organization, and it's a diabetes organization really about bringing diabetes education into the community.
Right.
There at Northside, we did a lot of course, people coming into us. But what I saw is that there were not a lot of people coming in, and we really needed to get out there into the physician's office, into community centers, churches, where the people, of course, were.
Yeah. And that's heavy, and I want to announce that, I'm going to partner up with her organization and be instrument of change.
Yes.
Because
we're so excited about that.
Yeah,
Because
me
your
too.
story, of course, is amazing.
I appreciate
and
that.
And so
yeah.
again, just as Terrence said, we of course just meeting this week, and it's kind of like we've been friends for a long time.
Yeah, a long time. It's like, what's going on?
Exactly.
So immediately, immediately like yesterday, I asked her. It was at the Gwinnett Business Alliance meeting.
Yes.
I said, you should come on the show tomorrow, because I had somebody that canceled.
Yes.
So it was perfect. I was like, this definitely is going to work.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to partner up with her organization. Let's see that we can bring more diabetes awareness. Everything to the communities, to the churches, to the recreation centers, everything, showing a lot of love to people who need assistance with that type of education.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because
that's where the work needs to be. And when we look at diabetes in the sense of 30 million Americans have diabetes, we've got to start almost a grassroots type of effort and get into those places where people are. So as I said to you before, it's so instrumental having someone like you who has been through that experience, who, of course, and has come out on the other side victorious. And those are the messages, again, that people need to hear, is that this is something, I may have this diagnosis, but it does not have to take over, of course, my body. This is something I can do something about. So again, that's why I was so excited, like I said, hearing your story and being, and meeting you, and the potential of what's to come.
We can do a lot of major things with this, and I'm excited about it. It's a brand new venture for me because, just like I told you on the phone, this is my first time ever working with a diabetes organization. So it just made perfect sense for me to really connect with you and your foundation. Let's talk about the foundation. So how did you get started with that? What's the name of it?
So as we said, Renew and Live is my for-profit organization. And about a year into starting that organization, God put on my heart to start the nonprofit. And I said, well, Father, I'm trying to get this for-profit off the ground. I can't to think about the nonprofit. But what I also saw after I got into the space, of course, out here and dealing with patients, is that although there are a lot of nonprofits, of course, dealing with diabetes, and I work, of course, very closely with a lot of them, but the focus, I know, of course, just, again, being in the community. And the focus of the nonprofit is really looking at those people who do not have insurance and in those underserved populations. Because what people don't realize is, because we've got all this information out here, that those certain groups in regards to non-insured or uninsured and then underserved do not get the access to classes, do not get the access to this education. And we know, and as you have experienced yourself, that we know this education can change lives. But we've got to get it to them. That's how the nonprofit, of course, came about.
That's awesome. So look, if you are pre-diabetic, diabetic, you know someone who's dealing with it, complications of it, you need to reach out to her. We get her information to you, her for her organization, her company, everything like that, because that's something that's very needed in the community. So what are tell everybody, what are some of the signs or symptoms of diabetes?
You know, the problem with diabetes, I tell people for many years we referred to high blood pressure as a silent killer. I almost say that diabetes is somewhat that way because early on, in a sense, we have no signs and symptoms. So when you talk about people who are pre-diabetic or newly diagnosed with diabetes, a lot of times these people, of course, just found out by accident. They were at the doctor for something else, and the doctor said, hey, your numbers, of course, are up. They don't feel anything. So when we talk about classic symptoms, these are usually individuals that later, of course, when these numbers are very high, now we start to have symptoms. And some of those classic symptoms, of course, are being very thirsty, which of course makes I've been going to the bathroom frequently, losing weight. Sometimes people have problems with their vision. But again, these are later signs. So that's why it's so important. And we talk to people about making sure you're getting into your physician and getting at least a fasting blood sugar, of course, drawn.
Definitely. Fasting blood sugar.
Yes.
So that means the night before your appointment, do not eat anything after what time?
Or, usually we like an 8-hour window. So of course no munching in the middle of the night.
I know, right? Cookie monsters.
Exactly. So we like to have at least an 8-hour window. And there's another test also, A1C, which is a test you do not have to be fasting for. And typically the doctor likes to do both. But these are things, like I said, that need to be done because we've got a lot of people out there walking around with diabetes 5 to 6 years and don't know that they have it.
And you said around 30 million people?
30 million in America. Yes, in America. And of that, about 18 don't even know that they
don't even know it.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you tell people who say, hey, as long as I take the meds, I can eat whatever I want to eat? I mean, like, that really throws me off. I was like, oh, that's crazy. Don't do that.
Yes.
You know?
And I'm a huge component. Now, we do realize that some people are on certain medications that they will have to be on. There's a difference between type 1s and, of course, type 2s. Type 1s, unfortunately, will have to be on insulin, but we can adjust, of course, insulin dosage by our diet and exercise. Now, type 2s can really, a lot of them can manage diabetes with just diet and exercise.
Definitely.
And so when you go back to those ones that are saying, hey, I just want to eat what I want to eat and just take the medication, I say to them again, how important, of course, is this to you? Because we know certain medications, of course, can affect our bodies. So if I can do something and change my life and change these numbers by just changing my diet and incorporating exercise, why wouldn't I try that? And I don't want to ever seem when I talk to people that that's easy because I know it's not.
It's definitely not.
But I know that a lot of people come to me and they say, I don't want to take this medicine. I don't want to take more medicine. And I ask them, well, what do you want to do to make sure that this isn't happening?
Definitely. You know what? It's going to be a challenge.
Yes.
It is not I mean, it is an uphill battle. You have to, I mean, you're going to have to really dig in.
Exactly.
Pay attention to your emotions and, you know, your diet and your exercise and have a great support group.
Yes.
Because you're definitely going to need that. And I think the art of visualization, like I had to see myself getting better. And, you know, for me, I was tired of injecting myself every morning in the bathroom, and I hated needles as a kid. I don't like needles. So now you're telling me
and
that
you're not alone.
Right. So now you're telling me for the rest of my life, this is what was being told to me. For the rest of my life, diabetes management, you're going to have to inject yourself. I was afraid to eat because I didn't want to stick myself, you know, and it's like I didn't want to pop any metformin. So I said, what do I have to do to get better or to stop this? And so it definitely came down to educating myself about it and practicing what I preach. And it was a hard road.
Yes. And just wanted to interject, I was in a class, of course, before coming over today, and one of the things we were talking about is changing your eating habits. And to your point, when you're saying it's not an easy process, and one of the things that the gentleman was saying in the class, he was asking me a question, he says, well, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, it is. He said, and I said, it's a lot of work, but it's something you can do.
Yeah.
And, he was to the point of him having to think, because what I was talking to them about is portions. And we were, this particular class, we were talking about label reading, reading labels and different things like that.
Yeah.
And so what he was saying is that, and I said, I understand. I said, because before, I said, really, we all need to be thinking when we sit down and eat. But it's really an option for some people.
Right.
But when we have diabetes, we have to think about what we're eating. And so the thought was, what I was saying to him is that, yes, you do have to think more. Because before you just kind of pulled up and you didn't really think about it.
Right.
But now if my goal is to truly change my numbers, to really make a difference, of course, with diabetes, I have to make that, of course, more of an effort to really kind of think about what I'm putting on my plate.
And that's a key word you have to apply to effort.
Yes.
You can think about it, and some people tried it for a month or two, 90 days, 120 days. And I think that the cravings kicked in, and they wanted what they wanted. They didn't see results somewhere in their exercise routines on their own, and before they know it, they're back at the buffet, as long as they're taking the meds.
Yes.
And that's counterproductive pretty much. You don't really want to do that. You really want to dig in with your nutrition.
Yes.
Google some things, the glycemic index. I had to find all that on my own. Googling a diabetic diet.
Yes.
It was a lot of sites out there that really had educational things for me to pick from.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. And, and I was able to. Now, my doctor, shout out to my doctor, Dr. Yvette Murray, she was very in there with it.
Yes.
She was like, this is what you do, boop, 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 and I hit the ground running.
Yes.
But so what do you say to people who you teach? They come in and they have a hard time with the exercise. They have a hard time with diet, and they feel like they just can't do it. How can you motivate them, or how do you motivate them?
Well, one of the things I do with my classes is I really try to explain to them why they need to do it. So one of the things that we call a medical term, of course, pathophysiology, but it's really how the body works. So I think visuals are so important.
Yeah.
So I really draw a visual for them and really kind of take them through carbohydrates and how, of course, the digestion and how the body utilizes its sugar. And I say to them, and I said, how do we control, in a sense, how much sugar comes into our bloodstream? And asking them that question. So then we talk about, well, I control it by what I eat and, of course, what I drink. And then the other side to that is I tell them, I said, so what I talk about is, of course, that carbohydrates are fuel, they're energy for the body. So they're important. We just have to find the right balance. So I say to them, and I said, so when I exercise, what do I need to exercise? And they say, so we ask these questions, they say energy. And I said, absolutely. So what that means is that when you exercise, you're using up that extra sugar that's in your bloodstream. So I really talk to them in a sense of, now that they can see the picture in regards to, oh, if I eat right, that's going to mean less sugar in my blood. If I exercise, that's going to mean less sugar in my blood. So I really talk to them in a sense of exercise as medicine, food as medicine.
Definitely.
So that, in a sense, takes away, like you're saying, that pill. For some again, like I said, can come off of that. Definitely some, of course, off insulin, different things like that. So when I say that to them, like, oh, okay, I see how this works. And so with them seeing that, now, of course, they're more motivated to say, okay, now I see how these pieces of the puzzle, of course, fit together. And now I can say, okay, yes, I am going to do. And I tell them, I said, if you don't believe me, let's do this. You'll see me in a week. Go out there and do the exercise. Check your numbers before, check your numbers after, and see what makes it, as opposed to me eating and sitting down for 5 hours, as opposed to eating and moving. And they come back and they're like, oh my God, it works.
You start noticing and feeling the difference in your body and just in your mindset in general. Once you start feeling results and seeing results, that will motivate you to keep going. And like we was talking earlier, it's like when you're dealing with some type of illness like diabetes, it's important for you to take care of yourself. Because what's going to happen, God forbid, if you down the line and you have complications of it, stroke, whatever, and now you potentially become a liability to your loved ones. you know, and that's not a good feeling, you know. So you always want to make sure that you are an asset to your family members, to your coworkers, whatever the case may be. And practicing safe care is the number one thing, because, you know, I always say this, Ms. Graham, it's like when somebody gets sick, when you get ill, somebody gets paid off your illness.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and how would you feel if you're able to take the same finances, you know, from medicine, get well, get off the meds, and then take that same money and rotate that back into your checking account? That's an amazing feeling. Like, oh my God, you know, you can actually put that money back into whatever you want to put it in. And I love talking about that, because I'm telling you, when they put me on Atlantis, my insurance didn't cover that. It was $164 for 5 pens a week. I was like, a week?
Exactly.
I'm about to go in the poorhouse with this. You know? I was like, oh, no. This is... So when I was able to reverse everything, it was a great feeling when my doctor said, I'm going to suggest that we take you off the meds. When I tell you, I praise. I was doing it. I was, you know, it was a sign of accomplishment. Like, I did it. You did. I worked hard. I mean, I actually put in the effort, you know. So now when I see people, just like last weekend at Grady, I saw people, you know, hooked up, you know, to tubes and the machines, and, you know, doctors everywhere. And everybody looked the same to me, you know. And I'm like, whoa. People are really, you know, they're really ill. Something happened to them, you know?
Yeah, and, you know, and I think, you know, to your point earlier, because we know that, of course, diabetes affects certain, of course, you know, ethnic groups, African Americans, of course, Latinos, Asians, and Indians. And one of the things that I deal with a lot, to your point, is that they have, of course, family members that have had, of course, diabetes and all of the complications that go along with diabetes. So I say to them, these things don't have to happen. And back to your point is, if we're taking care of ourselves, we're managing. And I said, diabetes is something we can manage. And if we manage it, people can live long, healthy lives. And again, if we're not managing, that's when we have the problems of our eyes, kidneys, heart, all of those other things. But I say to them, too, that this is something that I can have, but this is something I can truly do something, of course, about. You know, and to, you know, you asked me earlier about, of course, my foundation, and that was really one of the things that the name came from, because I said, we're losing this fight with diabetes, but this is something we can win. And again, by us being, you telling your story, being in these communities, this is something we can win. We can help people, of course, like I said, live, you know, very productive and happy lives with, of course, diabetes.
See, earlier she said 30 million Americans are living with diabetes. Some people don't even know that they even have it. Now, how many people do you know that suffer from diabetes, pre-diabetes, excuse me, complications of diabetes? How many people do you know? You know, you may know somebody. Maybe it's a, you know, a family member or a friend, you know, and you can help them with some of this information. You know, because I'm going to tell you something. Diabetes is not a death sentence.
No, it is not.
When people get diagnosed, they be like, oh, my God, life is over, you know, and it's not a death sentence.
No.
Actually, it could be a wake-up call.
It is. If we catch things early, and I think, like you said, that people, there's a stigmatism as well that comes along with it. So just knowing, and that was one of the messages that I try to, you know, of course, tell people, this doesn't mean that your life is over. This is something we can do something about. It's making a decision that you're going to change some of those things that we have, you know,
lifestyle changes.
We've picked up along the way.
Definitely.
Habits that we've picked up.
Habits, bad habits that we picked up. I know I was having some, oh my God, I had some bad habits. I was drinking, I was partying, I was running at Burger King. You know, one of my favorite foods was the double Whopper with cheese and the Coke, and I was just doing it. And before you know it, I was 240 pounds, 40-inch waist, and I was like, but I thought I was cool, though. I thought I was like, yeah. But, it's so funny because I went to a health fair with Blue Cross Blue Shield a few years ago, and they had the in-house trainer in there. It was about it was about 2009, before I even got sick.
Okay.
And he saw my size. He said, I can tell you working out, but he said, if you lose by 20 pounds, you be nice.
Yes.
I'm looking at him. I'm like, anybody trying to lose 20 pounds? Not knowing exactly what he was saying. But, I was like, man. And 20 pounds off of me changed my life.
Yes.
It was crazy.
And we see just in diabetes prevention, if we talk about, there's another, of course, DPP program, which is CDC, of course, program that 5 to 7%. So we're talking 5 to 10 pounds. Now, you, of course, did a phenomenal job. But just because people think 5 pounds won't make a difference or 10 pounds. Yes, it will.
It made a difference.
So, again, this makes a difference. Diabetes, cholesterol, high blood pressure, all of these different things, that small weight loss. And, of course, many of us need to take it further. Some people just have maybe 10 or 15 pounds.
Right.
But again, not thinking that those small changes won't make a difference, but they do.
Yeah, baby steps count as long as you're moving forward.
Yes.
Especially when you're trying to get right with this. Like you said, cholesterol, you definitely need to control that. I didn't think it was going to be a big deal until I started going through it.
Yes.
And started coaching people who has it or reversed it.
Yes.
And I was like, whoa, this is really, I got to look more into it because I can help a lot of people with my story and, what I went through, and I found a passion in that. I was like, man, you got to do better because I know for me personally, I did not like injecting myself. I hate it.
Nobody likes
I'm looking for a less sensitive spot. I'm pinching for an inch, and I'm saying to myself, no, this cannot be.
Yes.
What did I do? And I looked right in the mirror. I said, there's something wrong with you. Look what you done did to us. It freaked me out.
Yes.
I was totally floored by it. So how do you tell your clients or your students that take your class to deal with certain cravings? Is there a specific thing that you tell them? Because cravings kick in,
Yes, they do. And again, it goes a lot into, because there's so much more with the management, looking at numbers and so on and so forth. But I find that when people come to class, the number one thing is, what can I eat?
Yeah.
So that's it's nothing else.
Me.
I don't want to know about you. What can I eat? And oftentimes people say, well, I knew before I got here you was going to tell me not to eat, so I stopped at McDonald's. I stopped at Burger King.
I get it.
So again, to get that last meal in.
Man.
But, I had a gentleman today, and again, he was saying that he has a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
And again,
yeah.
I said to him, those are things that we can't, in a sense, ignore, because we're not talking, when we talk about healthy eating or lifestyle change, it's not a diet.
Right.
So it's not something, because, diets we do for a little while and then we're done.
Fall off,
but I can't really do that if my goal is really, like you saying, trying to, reverse or bring these numbers down.
Right.
Because the minute I stop doing that, numbers are going back
up.
So one of the things I say when he was talking to me today, and I said, really, let's just think about what you're doing, because I really want to make what I do for people individual. And that means there's no cookie cutter. What is it that you like? What are the things that you like, and how we can work around some of those things. So with those cravings, I say to them, definitely want to look at how we're eating, because a lot of times some of that comes because of hunger. And so now I'm just, in a sense, ravenous, trying to look for anything. So making sure we're having some balanced meals throughout the day. And if we do think about some of those, sweet tooth or different things, some options. I knew you wrote something.
Dark chocolate.
Again, some other options that they can. And like I said, dark chocolate might be, fruit may be, yogurt may be. And sometimes it could be a cookie or two. It's that I can't eat a whole pack of cookies.
You can't eat a whole dozen of cookies.
Exactly.
Oh my
but
God.
I can eat them because I I also always give a little example, and I show a plate and I put the cookie in the middle, and the cookie is what they wanted, but they said, "Oh, I can't eat that," so they eat cheese, and then I can't eat that, I eat chips. So you eat all these things around the cookie, and now I've had more carbs, more calories, and I could have just had that one small little thing.
One small little cookie.
So I think really trying to say, what is it that they like, and how can we get to a healthy place with what they like?
Right.
And sometimes it's small little tweaks, in a sense, to get there.
I think if you put that same plate in front of me, the first item I may recognize is the cookie.
Yeah.
Everybody probably goes straight to the cookie, like, oh my God, I get a cookie?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I'm like, oh, she gave me a cookie. So that must be a treat, a reward for lowering my numbers or something like that.
Yes.
What about alcohol and while diabetic?
Well, one of the things that, of course, the American Diabetes Association, because as, of course, a certified educator, we deal in evidence-based, of course, education and nutrition and all of that. And one of the things that they do, if people don't have a problem, of course, some people shouldn't be drinking.
Right.
But they do recommend 1 drink a day for women and 2 drinks a day for men. So what I say to them is what that equivalent looks like.
Right.
So, again, beer, for instance, a 12 fluid ounce of beer, not a 6-pack.
Right.
So that means one of those. And we realize that beer is from barley, so it has carbs. So we've got to take that in consideration. Again, if wine, it's 5 fluid ounces. It's not the bottle of wine.
It's not.
So, so again.
Hold on. Let me repeat that. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Hold on. It is not the whole bottle.
Yes.
Of wine. Let's just be clear. Listen to what she said.
Yes.
It is not the whole bottle.
Absolutely.
And one serving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So those are some things, and then of course certain drinks that have fruit juices and sodas as mixers and things like that. So those sometimes we want to make kind of be careful with. We never want to just drink on an empty stomach because that of course it could potentially of course lower blood sugars too. So and it could lower blood sugar and raise them depending on what type of chasers you have in there. So they again recommending that for of course sensible drinking, 1 drink a day, yes, for women and 2 drinks a day for men.
2 drinks a day for men. Oh my God. You just encouraged a whole lot of people. Now she said that I can have.
But you know what? I like to be honest in a sense because what I realize is that with people and dealing with people over the past 15 years, they're going to do it and not say and not tell you.
Yeah,
so again, I'm saying, and let's have a conversation, let's have a dialogue about it, and then we're going to do it, but we're going to do it the right way.
Right.
Because another thing that I find with working with people over the years, I get a lot of people that come to me and say, well, they were with this patient and they said, no to all these things. People don't like, in a sense, no. So again, how can I get you to the healthiest place?
Right.
Because there's financial, of course. You're looking at living. There's all different things in regards to goes into people and eating and what they're doing and what they're dealing with. So I'm really trying to work to get people to the healthiest, of course, place that they can possibly, of course, be.
What about stress levels?
Stress is so important to control. Yes.
I mean, especially if you're trying to reverse, maintain type 2 diabetes, stress in itself is going to kick in.
Yes.
You're going to get tired, you're going to get aggravated, you're going to be really hangry at times. So it raises your stress level. So what would you tell people how to deal with the stress?
Again, we go back to, and what I think I find in a sense, and what helps, patients be so successful is, again, telling them how this stress is affecting their body. So when you look at stress, and we have stress from different places, stress from, of course, emotional stress, as well as stress that illness puts on the body, lack of sleep and all of that. And what I talk to people is about stress can raise blood sugars. And it raises it, again, that, physiological, of course, piece that goes on, that the body is again trying to protect itself. So it's pouring actually more sugar into the bloodstream from the liver. And with that, now where you know that, gosh, I get upset and my blood sugar goes up, but you didn't understand why.
Right.
So now by understanding why, now you see the importance of, okay, I got to really try to keep this under control. I really got to, work on this particular illness, really making sure I'm figuring out why I'm not sleeping.
Right.
So to really try to decrease that stress level, because by decreasing that, I'm going to decrease and of course not have that contribute to raising my blood sugar.
Awesome information.
Yes.
A lot of people don't understand, like, I hate when people say team no sleep. I used to be like that sometimes until I started realizing what getting enough rest was.
Absolutely.
And I had to change my lifestyle in order for me to get that sleep, because when I got like less than 6 hours, I got up in the morning, I was not hungry.
Yes.
I was irritable. I didn't know why, and then when I did decide to eat, I would eat whatever.
Yeah.
But then I was afraid to eat whatever because I knew I had to inject myself.
Yes.
I said, so sleep is critical when you're dealing with diabetes. You really have to plan for at least 6 or 8, definitely 8.
Yes.
But if you get 7, that's fine, because without lack of sleep, you're going to suffer from hangriness and, irritability, frustration.
Yes.
Oh my God! It just is a wide array of feelings and emotions going through you. So, and then that's going to increase your stress levels as well. So controlling your stress and removing toxic things or relationships or whatever the case may be, because that's very important as you're going through your diabetic journey. You have to understand, like, look, okay, this person or this particular situation is really aggravating me right now.
Yes.
And if I don't do something about it, I'm gonna be sick.
Exactly. And I think it goes back to what you mentioned earlier, self-care.
Yeah.
So I deal with a lot of patients that, of course, that we're, taking care of loved ones, dealing with loved ones. And at some point, and be it men or, women, but we naturally want to take care of others.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we don't take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And what I say to patients is that if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be here to take care of anybody else. Yeah. So it's so important, as you talked about earlier, that self-care.
Yeah.
We've got to be just a little selfish and making sure, like you're saying, we're getting and we're meeting, of course, our needs, and making sure we're getting our rest, making sure we're, like you're staying hydrated, eating, all of those things, and taking care of ourselves so that we can have and be able to get out there and take care of others and do the things that we want to do.
It's crazy because, like, when you get on the plane and then, the stewardess, they say secure the mask on yourself first before you can help anybody else. So, I mean, that's the same thing.
Exactly.
You really have to do it. And some people may say, like, you selfish.
Yes.
I'm like, well, I have to do this, and it's hard sometimes to be
very, very hard.
Practicing the principles of self-care. It's difficult because sometimes you have to be emotional or less emotional, and then sometimes, it's going to affect a lot of people and they don't understand why.
Yes.
But, it's something that sacrifices have to be made when it comes down to dealing with, diabetes. You have to give up a lot.
Yes. And, and I tell people, unfortunately, I lost my mother last year, and it was a very quick, thank you, illness. We found out in February she was gone by May. Wow. And, my mother was one of the most giving, of course, people. And, of course, again, giving so much that a lot of times she did neglect herself. And one of the things, and it hasn't been an easy process for me, but it's something that I'm learning, because that's me. I'm a giver. Right. And again, to my patients, to my family, to everyone. And for many years, as you said, feeling like if I did something for myself, or I did that I was being, of course, selfish. So I don't think that, again, that's my makeup. That's how God made me, of course, to be a giver. I'm going to be that person. But along with giving to others, I've got to do better with taking care, of course, of me.
And that's hard, though.
It is. It really, really is, because I struggle every single every single day.
Some days is like I was telling the guys in the green room, some days I feel like I can't hold it together. Then some days I feel like I'm just spinning the ball. Like, I got this Harlem Globetrotters with it. And some days I'm like, I got the battle. But that's what it is. And when you're dealing with lifestyle diseases, you really have to maintain your awareness of what's going on in your personal personal life
Yes.
and your professional life, everybody who's around you,
Mm-hmm.
the choices that you make
Yes.
when it comes
Yes.
down to meals. Do I need that alcohol drink? Like sometimes I want a
Yes.
beer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, I need a beer.
Yes.
I'd be
Yes.
like, you're not on that kick right
Yes,
now, fall
exactly,
back. But
exactly.
the cravings.
Yes. Yes.
I wanted a pizza.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, oh, God. And I'd be praying,
Yes.
I'd be like, Lord, help me.
Yes.
You know, then I just go do some type of healthy pasta meal or
Yes.
whatever, you know. But I'm trying to maintain because I still have goals.
Yes.
And it's hard. Like, people think like, oh, you did it. I said, no, I still struggle.
It's a
You know?
work, and again, what we have to realize with diabetes is it is a chronic disease.
Yeah.
So that means it's something that I am going to be dealing with until, of course, really for the rest of my life. But even with that, like I said, what you've done is phenomenal, and being able to, you know, that people and walk and say, I can do this.
Yeah, you can do it.
I can do this, and again, that I can manage this. Of course, you know, disease.
Yeah.
With that.
It becomes, oh man, it becomes a journey of perseverance.
Yes.
You really have to dig deep.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're dealing with diabetes, even though you may have the best insurance,
Yes.
you know, you still have to come out of pocket with
Yes.
things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not really educated on how to take care of the lifestyle disease, you're going to be spending money that you may not
Yes.
have to spend. And that's what I realized. I had to
Yes.
really pay attention to
Yes.
it. And I was like, oh, I don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I need that lotion? That
Yes.
just look like a regular lotion. And why do I need those special socks? You
Yes.
know, it's like, why do I need those tablets? You know, I
Yes.
started questioning all
Yes.
those things, you know, and used to go get my my meds, and right by the medicine place is the socks and the lotions and the tablets and the glucerna and I was like, oh my God, you know, they really try to draw you in there. So I had to pay attention. I said, if you Terrence, if you want to save money, if you want to redirect money back into your checking account, you're going to have to go 1,000% on this and take control of your life. Take control of the diabetes, take control of the blood pressure, take control of everything. Everything cold turkey, like, stop.
Yes, exactly.
You know, so and it's not for everybody. You
No,
have to
it's
have
not.
your why.
Yes,
you know, why you
that's
need
it.
to do it.
That's
you know?
it. And you know, it's so funny that you say that because there was a gentleman when I was starting my class today, because the class was really about, you know, teaching them about label reading and you know, ingredients and looking at you know different things. So they were having a conversation amongst themselves, and they were talking about the diabetic foods or the diabetic diet or so one of the gentlemen on the other side of the room, and he says, because I've said to them all the time, it's really in a sense of, you know, portion control and moderation in regards to what we're having. And so one of the gentlemen said, well, you know, that's just extra money.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of these things that they, you know, like you're saying, they tag as, you know, be it, you know, gluten-free, different things, all these things.
Yeah.
It's really extra because there's another way sometimes, as you said, that you've looked at, how do I get around, because I don't need to pay the extra money for this. I can do this, of course, a different way. So, but again, back to what we're saying, it requires a little bit of homework. It requires a little bit on your part. What are you going to do? Because oftentimes we look at, and I say with the physicians, we're going there for them in a sense to fix, but there's only so much they can do. I said they have the medication, of course, sometimes education, but you've got to go home and do the work.
Oh, you have to really get in front of the laptop and just Google some stuff and see what works with you. And one thing that helped me was the healthy elixirs that I already had in my pantry that I did not know that can really help you eliminate or reverse or reduce some of the symptoms or lower your glucose levels. You know, like the apple cider vinegar and the cinnamon, cumin and curry, and you know, I did not know that until I started researching. You know, and that helped me. Like spices and fresh herbs, like don't sleep on that. You know, those things really, really helped me. And I tell people all the time, like invest in some fresh spices and herbs and cook with that, and make sure that, you know, everything that you're implementing in your meals, make sure that, you know, is beneficial to the disease. You know, so everything that you prepare and you consume, you know that in your digestive system, your stomach, everything, you're getting the nutrients and everything you need to help maintain that A1C or that blood glucose level. And that's the main thing. And I didn't know, like, apple cider vinegar is the bomb when it comes down to diabetes. That helped me a lot, you know, and that with the cardio and everything, it really became, when I got to when they took me off everything, that was one of the happiest days of my life.
Yes, yes.
I was in there
doing a praise dance.
Yeah, because the struggle was, oh my God.
Yes.
No more needles? You can't be serious right now. No more pills?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I said, okay, don't get happy.
Yes.
Continue to push.
Continue.
Because one thing I read is that it can quickly come
Yes,
back
it can. Yes, it
and
can.
snatch you, and you wouldn't be like, what's happening?
Exactly.
I was doing so well. No, you was messing up.
And you know, I tell people, and that is the greatest thing that I say to people, that people have been able to come off of course, medication, and change those numbers by diet and, of course, of exercise. That's why we have to look at that also as a medication.
Yeah, definitely.
But as we said earlier, if we do not continue that, it goes back up. So like you said, in the area of reverse or that type of thing, so we can reverse or get those, but if I don't keep these maintained and keep these you know, that weight loss up, keep those, of course, those doing that exercise diet, those numbers are going back up. But even with that, I want people to just understand how empowering that is, that you can truly make that difference. It's not those medications and all these other things. That is you. Everything that you do, making that difference.
And making a huge difference.
Yes.
So you got to realize this. Remember this. It's not just you that has to do. You know, I mean, it's not. You're not the only one that has to do it. You know, you have to do it for everyone that's in your circle.
Yes.
Family members, friends, everybody. You have to do it for them.
Exactly.
Because nobody wants to really be, you know, seeing loved members, you know, loved ones ill or sick all the time because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
You know, so it's like, pay attention to what you're supposed to be doing and let everybody around you know, like, hey, I'm on top of this.
Yes.
I'm going to give it 1,000,000%. I have goals. I'm going to reach them. But when people are seeing you making continuously bad decisions with it, and then all of a sudden, you know, something, you got glaucoma, amputations on the way, you know, nerve damage in the feet, periodontal, you know, disease. Definitely, you know, and it's a big deal.
Yeah, and what I tell people when they leave my classes is that, you know, oftentimes they come through and they say, oh my gosh, we got a lot of papers. We got a lot of information. And I said, this is something you need to understand. This is something that you, of course, need to take charge of. But what I say to them after they come through the classes, I say, you know, again, you are now my ambassadors, because you will go places that I will never go.
Right.
And I said, you will touch people that I never can touch. And the message will be different from you because they will be able to see the results, as what you said. They will say, well, gosh, you know, well, she weighed this and now she's this. Or, boy, she was taking insulin. Now she's not taking insulin. There's nothing more that, I mean, that is, of course, the greatest endorsement is that this works. The exercise, the diet, all of this works. To see someone transform their life, that this is something that they can, you know, they did. It wasn't by the help of anyone else. So I say to them that, you know, and the other population is these young people that are coming up, the children that are coming behind. They don't believe that, of course, these children are going to outlive this generation because of the diet, the lack of exercise. So to your point, it means a lot when those individuals can, in a sense, they go out and they speak that message, because it brings a different weight. As I said with your story, it just brings, it just sends a different message, and it resonates with certain people that for me, even as an educator, that I can't even touch some of those people sometimes.
It's funny because I thought I was locked into everything when I came out of ICU, and then when I did my researching, I found that there are millions of people who actually won the battle with type 2 diabetes or any type of lifestyle disease. And the first question that came to my mind was like, how? What did they do? How can I do that? And it was certain sites like D Life, and definitely they were the one that really, I was on there every day. I was signing up for their newsletters and everything, and I picked up so many nuggets that I use. I still get their newsletters right now. And we're talking about 9 years later, and I was like, this is great because I was not learning this in the hospitals.
Exactly.
When I always say this because when we talk about diabetes maintenance, it's a $468 billion annually.
Oh, yes.
Just on you maintaining it, make a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
But also it's a lot of money in reversing diabetes, what I found out too. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. To your point, I'm putting more money back in my pocket. I'm not paying for all of
financial wellness
Yes.
is like, because when I got off the insulin, I started saving, I started investing, and I bought a car, and I traveled a little bit. I was like, "This is great," and so I wanted to help other people do it. And when I started out, it was a lot of people reaching out to me, even to this day, complication with diabetes.
Yes.
They want to know, the type of foods to eat.
Yes.
When exercise, how to exercise. I see that's another thing we talked about. It's like a lot of people don't know. It's like if you're type 1 or type 2, is certain times you should exercise, and certain times, you should not. You want to.
So again, we want to be careful with exercise because exercise can do two things. It can lower blood sugars and it can, of course, raise blood sugar. So we always need to check our blood sugar before, of course, we exercise, and then after we exercise because we really want to see how that exercise affects our blood sugar. And to your point, pretty much that, if I'm above 250, I probably shouldn't be doing any exercise.
Yes. Sit down.
Because again, depending on the intensity of the exercise, the stress that intensity puts on your body can drive your blood sugar up. And if I wake up and my blood sugar is 100 and I go out, because that's a mentality sometimes, I'm going to burn off this extra fat, and now I can end up with a 50 blood sugar and laid out, and of course in the gym with a low blood sugar. Exactly. So, to your point, it's very important to make sure that we're doing that. But I think that's the importance of, and again, with, someone, like, of course, yourself, me, a diabetes educator, dietitian, your physician, talking with someone in regards that can help with this education side. Because those little things people just don't know. And they're thinking they're doing a good thing. And then all of a sudden they were passed out and they're like, oh my God, I was just trying to exercise and trying to help, but not knowing those things. So it's important to get in and get education.
Yeah, you definitely have to pay attention before you exercise.
Yes.
So I know that was time consuming. A lot of people be like, I just want to go exercise. I don't want to, and that's another thing that motivated me because I didn't want to check myself before exercise. I just want to go do my thing. But I couldn't do it. I had to pay attention because I was so afraid. I had a phobia of, oh my God, if I know I ate and my numbers is over 300, now I want to exercise, and then you can pass out here, or, like you said, most people get up early in the morning, exercise on an empty stomach. But if you're at 100, you should not exercise. You should eat a meal, then wait an hour or two, then perform your exercise regimen. And that's huge when it comes down to diabetes. Now, I know it may seem like a whole lot of things you have to pay attention to, but trust me, it's worth it. Because if you pass out, just say if you didn't eat anything or you ate too much and then you go work out and you at Stone Mountain, it's 90 degrees outside, and you out there with your friends,
or alone. Just think of people being out there alone.
Right. You're thinking you're doing the right thing. What exercise is it? It's the right thing.
It is.
But you have to pay attention to your
numbers. Exactly. With everything, there's, the precautions and just making sure we're being safe.
Exercise is a dangerous thing when it comes down to, lifestyle diseases. You have to really pay attention. So when I talk to people about exercise therapy or exercising disease, it's like it goes hand in hand. You really have to pay attention to it. If you just got out of a hospital for something, a diagnosis or whatever, you definitely want to start talking about your nutrition. You definitely want to start moving around as much as possible, understanding your activity levels every 5 hours, and then adjust your cardio or adjust your nutritional intake, so you're not sitting and then putting on pounds and so it's a big deal, and going through the changes, I had to really pay attention to that.
Yes.
You know, so it's like, you know.
And I think, you know, one of the things that I tell people is that with diabetes, we have a team. So as you said, I've got my physician, you know, I've got my dietitian, my, you know, of course, my certified educator like myself. I've got my fitness, of course, my coach, my trainer. I've got all these people on the team. So, and then of course, I'm the most important people. I'm the MVP, of course, of the team. And it's working with all of these people to really make sure that we get, of course, the best diabetes, of course, management. Yeah, so, you know, a lot of times we've got one person on the team and we really need another person on there. So one of the things of doing is educating people about who that team is, because, you know, for one like yourself, of course, a fitness professional, that the physician doesn't have sometimes the information that you have, but you may not have the information that the physician has. So it's all of those things, of course, working together and building a strong team to, again, make sure, as you know, say, of course, of getting to that championship, getting to the end of, you know, yes.
Mm-hmm. To all your primary physician, all your doctors out there, reach out to us, because we definitely can network with you guys. So if you're just tuning in, we're almost done. This is the Total Wellness Show with Terrence on 108 Praise Radio. I am here with the most intellectual nurse, Ms. Lisa Graham, sharing a lot of nuggets. Tell everybody where they can find you at.
Again, I'm Lisa Graham, registered nurse, certified diabetes educator. You can find me at renewandlive.com. Also, diabetesYouCanWin, of course, .com, .org. And you can go there and find out about our programs, of course, what we're doing in the community. Again, you know, the nonprofit is based, of course, grants and you know, of course, and donations. So if you want to donate and help us to do the work that we do, of course, in the community, diabetesYouCanWin.org is a place that you can, of course.
And that's a good title for You Can Win.
You can win.
You can. Most people feel like, you know, they under the thumb, but you know, you can win.
That's it.
You know, we're going to show you the strategies and the tips and the shortcuts. Everything that you need to help you maintain it or reverse it. You know, we don't want you to stay on the meds. Now, if you have to, then okay, you know, but if you don't have to, the only thing you have to do is make simple lifestyle tweaks. And before you know it, you're going to be living one of the best versions of your life. You know, if you get up earlier, exercise, drink the water, watch your intake of food. Pay attention. I mean, you don't have to check off every calorie or whatever, but once I realized, it's like
you don't want to do all that.
Once you start to know your body, and then you know just how you feel. You know, it's like if I get a headache, then I know, okay, what did I eat? If this left eye go to, I was like, oh, okay, I need to eat something. What's going on? You know, I need to eat something. So I can tell when I had too much sodium, I had too much sugar. So you have to know your body.
Being in tune.
With it. Listen
to your body. It gives you tons of signals. We just ignore them a lot of times.
You're like, oh, I'll be all right. And sometimes I ignore certain things. And I'll be like, you know, you need to go get that.
Go get it checked out.
And then one thing I like, whether it's my dentist or my primary physician, you know, I like when they be hard on me because they know that I can do better. I was supposed to do better. You know, I said, if I take this appointment, they're going to be on me, you know, but I need that. You know,
we all need a little push. I think, you know, you mentioned that earlier, that support, that system, that, you know, that team, of course, around you, making sure those other people, of course, in your corner. We all need that.
Support.
That's so important.
So anyway, we closing up right now. Once again, to the Total Wellness Show with Terrence on 108 Praise Radio. We happy that you guys are tuned in, and I hope you got a lot of information from Nurse Lisa Graham, certified diabetic educator. And I'm partnering up with her. We're going to do some major things in the community. I'm super excited about that. So anyway, without good health, there can be no wealth. Everybody know that slogan. Everybody knows that. You know, take care of yourself, be nice to yourself, practice self-care, reach out, get support from any type of professional if you need that support. You know, get the therapy, whatever you have to do to maintain. And on top of that, tell your loved ones you love them. You know, tell a loved one, hey, I miss you. I ain't hear from you in a while.
it.
Give somebody a hug.
That's true.
You know,
Yes.
and give them a compliment.
Yes.
You know, and
Absolutely.
that's going to help with their overall wellness. You know, it's not going to cost you a dime to do
Exactly.
that. It's going to make
A
that
smile.
person spirit
Yes.
just open on up.
Exactly.
So that's going to help. So anyway, that's our time, the Total Wellness Show with Terrence, and I'll see you guys on next Monday, and be looking for us in the community doing a lot of things with diabetes awareness and maintenance and reversal and all of that.
All of that. Thank you again, Terrence, for
I
having
appreciate
me.
that. Thank you so much for
Okay,
coming in
you're
short
welcome.
notice.